Hello and welcome to Let's Start Cooking. I'm Wayne, and today we're going to make an apple cinnamon bundt cake. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to sift all our dry ingredients. So we're just going to put this right in our sifter. And we're just going to gently shake it. Then we're just going to take our baking powder, and we're going to do the same thing with it. Once we get all this sifted, we're just going to set this aside, and then we're going to move on to our liquid ingredients, and we're going to mix all them up. So we're just going to slide this all right in, because all we're going to do is we're just going to put all this stuff in, and then we're just going to mix it all up anyway. And we're going to take our eggs. We're going to put all 4 eggs in. And then we're going to take a half a cup of our oil, and I'm using regular vegetable oil. We're going to take our vanilla. And we're going to take our sugar. And again, we're just going to dump this right in. Once you get it to the point where it's nice and creamy, we're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl, and we're going to leave this run a little bit longer because we want to make sure we don't have any lumps in this. Once we have this nice and creamy, we're going to add our dry ingredients to this, and we're going to mix this up a little bit, but we just don't want to whip it up. So we're going to just mix this on low for about a minute. And make sure when you start this, you start this slow, because obviously there's a lot of flour in here. So we're going to start this really low. Once we get it to this, now we're going to add our apples, and we're going to slowly add them in. Once we have this nice and mixed up, we're going to add our apples, and we're going to incorporate them by hand, because remember, we're not making an applesauce cake. We're actually making a cinnamon apple, so you want to add a little bit of texture to your apples. So we're going to add these in by hand, stir it up nice and easy till we get it all mixed up. And when you're doing this, you're going to want to do your apples when you're about ready to use them. You don't want them sitting out in the air too long, because they will start to turn brown very quickly. It's not going to hurt anything, but if you wait too long, they're going to be really brown and they're going to really soften up on you. So we're just going to get this all mixed in. And as you're mixing, you're going to notice that the apples are going to add some moisture to your batter here, and that's why it might look at first when you're starting it, this is way too thick for a cake batter. But it's going to loosen up a lot once you add your apples. And once you get it to this point, now what we're going to do is we're going to prepare our bundt pan. And all we're going to do is, if you have a non-stick, I still would suggest spraying it a little bit with non-stick spray. Or if you want to use butter and flour to coat your pan, it makes it a lot easier to get out. And at this time, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So what we're going to do is just going to mix this up. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to take about 1/3 of your batter, and you want to put it in the bottom of your bundt pan. And that's going to, when you turn it over, it's going to be your top. But you want the batter first. Once you get that done, we're going to take our cinnamon and brown sugar mixture, and we're just going to sprinkle it on the top to make a layer. And once you get that, as you can see, we got a nice coating on it. Now we're just going to put another layer of batter on top, and then we're going to coat it again with our cinnamon and brown sugar. For your second layer, we're going to use a spoon instead of dumping it in, because we don't want to disturb the cinnamon and brown sugar too much. So we're just going to take this now and scoop it in. Once you scoop it on top of your cinnamon and brown sugar, you want to gently tap it on the table and make sure that you spread it out as even as you can without disturbing it too much. That's why we tap it. We also tap it to get out any air bubbles. Once we do that, we're going to add our second layer of our cinnamon and brown sugar. And now that we have our layer of brown sugar and cinnamon, we're going to add the rest of our batter, and we're going to put that on top of this. once you put your last layer on, just spread it out the best you can. And it doesn't matter if you mix in a little bit of cinnamon. This is now the bottom of your cake once you turned it over. But you want to cover all the cinnamon with batter. Make sure that everything is covered. We're gonna put this in the oven now, and we're gonna bake this for about 50 minutes. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did before. We're gonna test it with a toothpick. When the toothpick comes out clean, we know we're gonna be done. And while we're doing this in the oven, I ask that you take this time to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let us know if you have a recipe you'd like us to try. By subscribing, it's free, it's helping me out a tremendous amount, and I really would appreciate it. It would help us get to our goal and help us move forward on our channel. So let's get this in the oven and we'll get this baking. It's been 55 minutes, the cake is done, we've taken it out of the oven. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this cool down for about 15 minutes before we even try to take it out of the pan. So we'll wait 15 minutes and then we'll be right back. We left our cake sit for about 15 minutes, we flipped it out. You can see we have all nice coating of apple on the top of it, covered with cinnamon. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a nice white butter vanilla glaze to it. We're just gonna let this drain right down over the edges. And with the way it smells, with the apple and the cinnamon, you could actually even take red and green sugar for the holidays, and you could sprinkle red and green sugar on top of this, and you'd have a really nice holiday cake. And you can really smell the cinnamon and the apple coming off of this. And again, if you don't want this on here, you don't have to put it on. I'm just gonna take out a little piece for now. It smells so good. You can smell the apples, you can smell the cinnamon. It's a little soft yet, it's still a little warm. Just reminds me of the holidays. You can taste the cinnamon, the apples, but this is your apple cinnamon bundt cake. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you like, subscribe, and share our channel. And like I said, if you have any recipes you'd like us to try out, let us know in the comments. And we'll see you on Sunday.